Peace, peace, peace. Hope everybody's doing well. Today is February 7th, 2021. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. Today's topic will be money and violence. The globe praises it more than their core beliefs. Money and violence. The world or the globe praises it more than their core beliefs. Um, I've said this on many occasions about the human and how we glorify, money and violence. Only two things. I deal with the nature of people, not the nurture. The nurture is the core belief that they're been indoctrinated with, and it's what's helping them to get by. It's helping to give them continuity. It helps them to be strong throughout turbulent times. However, when things really hit the fan and you shake the tree a little bit, the nature comes out. People love the idea of people around them. They love people who are able to sustain themselves and add value to their own self or artificial self, which is the body, the personality, the character, right? So people love the idea of what you can do for them. They have to be able to see themselves in your deeds. They have to be able to hear themselves in your words, right? So you moving around independent and staying relevant out here, they see themselves in that. So therefore, that's a benefit to them. How do you benefit them? So people are about needs. And as time goes on, the needs of people change, right? So you have to, if you don't adjust to the needs that they have, you become null and void. It's a imaginary contract. This is why I say people respect, money and violence all over the globe more than their own core beliefs. The core beliefs is it's what's being pushed out there, but in real time when it hits the fan, people really loves the fact that you're able to defend yourself and them in their presence, and that you're able to sustain yourself and possibly help to sustain their situation, which is where money and exchange and transactions come in. You got to study the human being. We're very distinct creatures, and more times than not, who a person verbally says they are is not who they are. But you got to deal with the nature of the person. So all over the globe, I've seen historically that you know uh, people respect money and violence, M&V, and it doesn't matter. The theologian believes that as well. All land and property, raw materials, airspace, water space have been taken by violence, not by exchanging beliefs, not even by prayer or meditation. It's been taken by force, lethal force, and then we'll establish the theology after and disseminate it to the land. And we normally disseminate that to the people who have been conquered, right? So this is why I say money and violence. People love money and violence, not their core beliefs. The core beliefs is what's being passed to the masses. We see this historically in any world war or civil war, any continent. You see this in real time when you look around at your peers, co-workers, acquaintanceships, family ships, any ships that you have with people. You see that this type of stuff is going on. There's no getting around it. Um, but in this society, the nurture, which is the belief that they're nurturing, the core belief, is pushed more than the actual nature. Because if we was to really get down to the nature of who we are, many of us would break into tears. It's kind of comical as you watch people or you listen to people as they state their dissertation of who they believe they are. You know what I'm saying? I like to come right through the front door with it. I'm not sliding down the chimney like the imaginary Santa. I'm not coming through the window. I'm not coming through the garage. Coming right through the front door, waving the fofo like Biggie, kicking the door off the hinge, or hinges rather, plural. Um, so you see that how you sustain yourself, how you add value to people around you, is what normally what people say I love EV. Well, you love how independent I move around and how I've sustained myself over a long period of time, and I'm always the same person. But if that status quo fell off, would you still say you love me? You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't able to administer extreme violence that exceeds the violence that people be talking about on this planet, especially in hip hop, we rhyme about, especially in our community, we always riding on each other. We don't ride on nobody else, but we ride on each other. But if I am not able to exceed the violence that they're talking about, you lose respect for me. You know what I'm saying? If we being honest about this, people look to see how you're received in a room by your peers, right? And especially in a destitute area, power and authority is normally valued by how much violence you can exceed. For men, it's F and F. It's how you fight and how you FUCK, right? Which is no power anyway. It's a false sense of power. And this is where the hyper masculine behavior comes from. That lack of power makes you over exaggerate the need to push F and F, what I just stated, fighting and FUCKING up the place. This is why many of us have multiple children with different women all over the place, And it's not respectively. I'm saying that it's very hard to maintain all these different children in different households. I don't have to tell you about the nightmare in the Black community because of this behavior. And a lot of times this is the residual effects of pushing the FUCK ideology that I need to be banging this one, I need to be banging that one. And in truth, it's to cover up the insecurity of poverty that we have inside of us. And we don't want to admit that, but that's exactly what's happening. So, money and violence, right? And the FUCKING that I just stated, right? That's also in that equation, if you will. But when you're behaving in that manner, you're praised and you get accolades in the hood. It's the reckless behavior, right? My brother Sule called it ID, irresponsible derelicts. It's irresponsible derelict behavior. It's IDB, right? But this behavior is praised. Many rappers, many so-called gangsters, since we took on gangster culture in the late 50s, early 60s in the Black community. Prior to that, it was the Prohibition era. The original gangsters was, the Irish, the Jews, and the Italians. They were the original gangsters. And then once white society accepted them, they took over the police department, the fire department, and then we took over the underworld. And then in that underworld, you see this behavior going on all the time. The F and F behavior and the money and violence behavior is praised all over the globe. But, it is deep, even beyond the ghetto. The whole globe praises it, but then they'll tell you about their core beliefs as if the core beliefs have them where they are right now. But in actuality, there's always the money and the violence, right? And this is what I'm saying. It's money and violence all over the globe, but it's money and violence coupled with F and F in the ghetto. F and F. Fighting and FUCKING, right? This is what's praised and glorified and accoladed, if you will. And so, you see Pookie all the time. He'll have 3 chicks pregnant at the same time in the hood, right? And he has no stability. You could clearly see his behavior is irresponsible. Single parent homes mimic matriarchal energy, right? This is why most Black men, if you see a Black woman, most women in America has several shoes in their closet, right? In most cases, not all, in a large segment of cases, I hear women bragging about having 100 pair of shoes in their closet. So what is that young boy who's raised by that single parent does? He got 100 pair of Nikes in his closet, right? She's showing her bottom. He's showing his bottom with his pants side, right? Not only the shoes, but they have the accessories, the handbag. What do we have? We have the sneakers and the fitteds and everything to go along with it, the same accessories. It's the same behavior. It's feminized behavior, right? It's not hard to prove. The receipts is everywhere around you. I could go deeper and scale that onion further, but I could park that right there and moonwalk away. I think anybody in the hood understands what I'm saying. It's not hard to prove. But money and violence is what the globe loves. You know, all societies are established as such. And the winner gets to write their version of history and force the loser and the generations to follow that comes from the loser to assimilate into their culture and alienate from the original culture that they were under, that their ancestors or predecessors or progenitors had. But what got them in that space? It was the money and the violence of the people who conquered them, right? Because once they conquer the land and the raw materials, now they can print up the money and create a gross domestic product or GDP rather, right? GDP according to the resources to parallel the resources that's there on the land. And the economic movement that's going on now that they control the land by way of money and violence. So the whole globe loves money and violence. That's the thesis of this particular segment that I'm doing here. And when I say it, somehow people, not all people, but a lot of people get offended by it. I'm like, how? Just look around you. You know, I'm not saying something that's far-fetched. I'm not saying something that's hard to fathom. It's you know, like Mobb Deep said, look, it's right in front of your eyes. Hell on earth, who's next are going to be first, right? So the money and violence is front lines, and the enemy is one time. I ain't got to tell you, hey, yo, it's right in front of your eyes. So I switched the lyrics up a little bit, but those who are Mobb Deep fans, you know what I mean by that. So, you know, these things are hard for a lot of people to accept because it's a harsh reality. However, it still doesn't change the fact that it's going on around you. I said to my brother Fahim, my big brother Fahim, the other day, I was on a live with him and I said that, you know, belief is useful, but not necessarily truthful. Belief is useful, but not necessarily truthful. It's useful to the observer who picked it up. They weren't born with it, but our brains are computers. I call it the biocomputer. This brain needs an operating system to run on, to download programs. It doesn't download programs or data and information programs without an operating system, or which is the core belief. Core beliefs make us it gives us strength. And I'm not here to debate about what your core belief is. I'm into the I keep score by the outcome and results, the O&R. O&R is all that really matters out here. You know, everything else is opinions or belief or belief. Change the enunciation up. It's LIE with a B in front of it. So you can be lie, or lie is it that you be. Whichever way you want to word it. This is all etymon or etymology of the language. So we just need to understand how these things play out in real time to get to a higher understanding, you know. And so, you know, I'll end this video there. It was a quick bell. Let your last endeavor be your best endeavor. I repeat, let your last endeavor be your best endeavor out here. It means a lot. Your body of work is not judged by humans out here. It's only your last endeavor. And even if they allow you to get past the last endeavor, depending on how much of a sting it created, if they bypass what they deem to be the error, it's only because of your usefulness, and somehow they still hear themselves in your words or they see themselves in your deeds. The minute they don't see themselves in your deeds or hear themselves in your words, it's over. It's a wrap. So let your last endeavor be your best endeavor. Salute.